Okay, so we're back. I'm Larry Stein on Stuttering with Cookie Green, Lois Cookie Green from Stuttering to Confidence. And she has the best site around, the most action, the most people responding. She's great. So, and Cookie has her question of the week for me. What is it?
Larry, now most of us, since we stutter, we get very intimidated by our stutter. So we want jobs that we don't have to speak. We want to be able to just go in and do a job and zip it. But that might not be the best thought. So what are your what would be your advice to
Okay.
that? Good one.
Well, first of all, I did everything wrong related to that question. It's a great question, and I did everything wrong in the beginning of my life. So I was one of those kids who knew exactly what they wanted to do in life. I wanted to be an investment advisor. I wanted to run portfolios. And from the age of 11, and I would go to the library. I would read every book in the local library. I would study periodicals. I would read Value Line. My dad had something from Standard & Poor's. I'd read that everything. It was like that was my big goal in life. And then came time to go to college, and my dad said, "So, what do you want to do?" And I said, "Oh, of course, I want to be in the stock market." And he said, "Why don't you go downtown in Chicago, we're in Chicago, and talk with our broker." I was already making trades at the age of 13. I was literally making trades. And why don't you talk to our broker? And so I did. I got all dressed up and I drove downtown, and it's like an hour drive, and parked and this and that. And so our broker, I never met him in person. It was all just over the phone. And it went like this. And this is exactly word for word. He said, "Sure." I asked him, "Can I make a career of this?" And he said, "Sure. In Chicago, it's all sales. Do you want to be in sales?" And I said, "No," because I had a pretty severe stutter. I was pretty severe. Just to give you an idea, I couldn't even read by myself in a room closed off. I couldn't even read. I couldn't even talk to myself out loud. That's how severe I was. Okay. All right. So then he says, "Well, if you want to be an analyst, you can go to New York. Do you want to go to New York?" And I was, so instantly intimidated with that. I said no. And that was the end of it. It was like less than 5 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes. That was the entire thing. And I just said no to my future. And that was it. I gave up on my dreams just that fast. This dream I had for 7 years, I was working like crazy, reading every book, making trades on my own, studying. I gave it up in 3 minutes because I didn't feel I could talk well enough. And that may have been true at the time. But I could have, worked really hard in college and taken courses and done all kinds of outside activities that would set me up to be an analyst in New York, but I didn't, because everything in my life was in those days was just no, and no. Avoid. That's all I did, avoid. And so what came down to was my dad and I got together later, and he said, "So why don't you be an accountant? You're good with numbers. You won't have to talk much." And I said, "Great, that's what I'll do." I had no idea what being an accountant was. Zero. I went down to college. I didn't even look at the school. He said, you'll go to University of Illinois. I got in, and I was an accounting major. I had no idea what that was. And I took accounting courses, and I hated it. I was bored out of my mind. It was great for other people and many of my friends, but I hated it. I had no interest, but I thought, maybe I could have a job doing this, because there's always jobs for accountants, he said, which is true. And so I graduated, and I got a master's in taxation because I thought, I didn't want to be an audit, and so I could be a tax guy sitting in the back of an office and do tax work. And I hated that even more. I hated it. I actually got a really good job at a very big firm, and I hated it. And truthfully, I hated myself. And I was so frustrated because I didn't know what I could do because of my speech. And so to answer your question, people should do whatever they want, whatever they're passionate about. They should not let stuttering hold them back. Now, I know, through getting involved in the stuttering community, I have met doctors who stutter, lawyers who stutter, engineers who stutter. I mean, on and on. I've met people in just about every field. Now, no question, in some fields, if you're a severe stutterer like I was, you have to improve your speech. And I can tell you, and you can see it, it's possible. You can improve your speech. It takes a ton of work. It's the hardest thing I ever did, but you can do it to some extent. I never dreamed I could do it to this extent. But even if I had just improved a little bit, and in truth, in later jobs, I still stuttered, and I almost turned down this great position. I'm going to tell you about that real fast, because I think it'll really be helpful to other people. So I had gone from accounting, where I didn't have to talk, I thought, to investor relations, where I thought I didn't have to talk, and I was a writer. I wrote annual reports and speeches and this and that. Barely had to talk. And there was a job, there was an opportunity to join a consulting firm in investor relations. At the time, it was the best firm. They had newspaper people that I had heard of. I mean, people I interviewed with, I actually knew their names. I mean, I knew of these people. They were well known. And I had an interview, and that went great because it was almost all writing. It was just a few minutes of chit chat, and I was able to hide my stutter to some extent. And the head of the firm, who was in the newspapers a lot in those days, calls me up at 9:40 at night. Pretty famous guy at that time, pretty well known. And I was just stunned that he's calling me. And he offers me the job. He tells me that I'll be talking with CEOs and CFOs of publicly traded companies. I had heard of some of these companies, and I'm going, wow, this is incredible. And he offers me a 50% raise in salary and big upside. And he said, so what do you think? I said, I don't think I can do this. He said, why? He said, because, and I'm just trying to think of how I could say everything without stuttering, and that's like, switching in words and all that stuff, because I'm, trying to present to this guy. I said, well, I have problems with my speech. He said, I know. He said, and everyone should listen closely to this. He said, you may have some problems in the beginning, but I've seen your work. The clients will like you, and it won't be a problem. You'll see. And he said, call me in the morning and let me know. And I said, oh God, I have to make a phone call too. So So I went to sleep, not planning to take the job, not planning to take a 50% increase in salary, not planning to take this huge upside that was, said that you could do this. And I woke up the next morning, I said, I've got nothing else. Let's just try this. And I took the job. He was exactly right. I had some difficulties in the beginning because, I had never even told a secretary what to do, much less a CEO. I never even asked a question. I'm telling you, I could be with people, but I would just say the minimum. And I would say cute little quips, but I could never ask a question, never asked anything. And this is a job that involved questions. And so, but he was right. Over time, my speech improved a lot because I was exposed in all these experiences and through the job. And frankly, I feel that the job world, working in an office, which unfortunately with COVID now, people don't do that much, but working in an office had incredible benefits for me, and my speech improved a lot. Not from any speech therapy, not from any techniques, not from anything, just from being in an office and talking all day, all afternoon. Talking in person, on the phone. Oh, huge. It was huge. And so my answer, as you can tell, is don't let your stuttering hold you back. You can improve the speech and you can make strides. It'll take time, but you can get there. Don't let anything hold you back. That's it, my friend.
That is powerful. That's the key. It's just follow your passion. Don't let it. Oh, and you just
do it.
You just felt that this is it. When he said, though, when he told you, I know that you have a speech, problem, but you're gonna be fine.
And he was exactly right. And then frankly, after I opened my own investment firm at the age of 54,
right,
and I improved my speech a lot due to that job and some others, I still wasn't doing everything I could to build up the firm, which is, getting out there, calling people. And I was meeting with people in network, networking via email. Email had just come out. It was a big deal. And so, so I arranged all these network things, email. But once I really started to focus on improving my speech, I completely relearned to speak. I retrained my brain by doing the opposite, like for example, not avoiding and going to things, and went after speaking situations one small step at a time. I really caught fire and I was able to improve my speech. I had no idea I'd improve it this much, but you can do this. People can do it, and it's a lot of work, but definitely don't let any job hold you back. So I hope this was worthwhile.
That's the word.
I enjoyed the question.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was powerful. Yes, thank you so much. I can't wait to ask you another question because you're giving us some really powerful stuff here.
Thanks. It's only because I've made every mistake you can.
Where you get
really
your wisdom, that's where we can get from we can draw from that. Oh, absolutely.
All right, my friend. Look forward to next week's question. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.